Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Cubs fans. Welcome back to the Waveland and Sheffield podcast, episode number 5, number 6. I lost track of that. I'm really sorry, I had to keep track. So today we are going to recap just kind of what the Cubs have been up to lately in regards to spring training as it did start. My most previous episode was the day before spring training began. Cubs are currently 4-7 in spring training, and as I've mentioned before, spring training is just not something I'm necessarily too concerned about. Like when it comes to wins and losses, more just concerned about the people's health, guys' health. However, there have been a little bit of concerns this spring training in regards to some performances. And I'm going to start off with the pitching. I do think that this pitching is going to be a strength of this team. The reason I say that is because there is so much depth, and I do think that the floor is the floor is high. Just with the team overall, I feel like the floor is high. However, there are some concerns, and it's completely okay to say that. And I would like to start with guys like Jamo and Tyone, who actually just pitched yesterday. And if you watch my main channel, go follow my main channel, by the way, and follow my socials down in this little white box below. Jamo struggled yesterday, and he allowed 6 runs in an inning and a third. Before obviously going 2 1/3 innings. He finished 2 1/3 innings, 6 runs allowed. I believe 2 home runs allowed in that process. He's been allowing a lot of home runs lately. If you guys didn't see in practice a couple weeks ago, Jamo facing at bat with Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman hit a home run over him, and I love to see that for Alex Bregman. Hate to see that for Jamo. It goes both ways no matter what. But people on Twitter were like, "Oh, well, Jamo's in mid-season form," and then Jamo deleted Twitter because of that. He's like, "No, I'm not going to listen to you guys." And listen, I understand, dude. He started one of those, like, arguably the second most important game of the season last year, in Game 3 of the Wild Card Series, and he pitched good, like he did. He let the defense do their thing. I do believe that Jamo will be fine. However, 6 runs in an inning and a third before doing an extra inning like that, that's not good, man. Spring training or not, it's just not good. And now, here's the thing with Jamo. There are going to be moments where you're going to be like, oh my goodness, we paid $18 million. He's honestly doing really good. And then there's other games where he does absolutely horrible. Like really, really, really bad. So, we do got to take everything with a grain of salt. That's going to be enough Jamo talk for right now. Let's talk about Shota Imanaga. And, last year, his first year was really good, and then last year, first half was actually really good, too. Like, he pitched 7 innings for us a lot, come through in the clutch. He felt like a good pitcher. He felt like he represented Chicago well. He has the energy, and not necessarily the stuff, but he felt like he's always had the poise. But lately it's been a struggle, and not just that, the second half it's been a struggle. And what's his weakness? He allows a lot, and I mean a ton of home runs. And that's not very good, right? He had that one game against the White Sox last year, which was their first win in freaking years against us, by the way, the World Series, whatever. He struggled, and he for some reason he does seem to struggle against the White Sox a lot. He's 1-1 against them, or 1-2 if you want to count spring training. And he's allowed a lot of home runs to that team, but not just that team. He's allowed a lot of home runs just lately. A lot of home runs in that Mets series before the season ended. He allowed a ton of home runs in the NLDS. A lot of home run in the freaking wild card against the Padres. Like, he's been allowing a lot of home runs, and that can beat you. But if he can eat up innings, obviously that's great. But you can't keep allowing the long ball too much. That's just overly ridiculous. I don't want him to walk guys necessarily too much. I don't want him to let guys get on base and then allow the home runs. If he's going to allow the home runs, I'd rather it be solo home runs. And lately, he's just been allowing a lot of home runs, getting guys on base and allowing home runs, and that's not good. And I know I'm using the words allowing home runs a lot, but it's just the truth, and that's also a point of concern. Now, the good thing is we have a lot of depth, like a lot of depth, and we have Justin Steele coming back probably in June. Edward Cabrera, Justin Steele, Cade Horton. You'll have Matthew Boyd, Colin Ray, Javier Assad, if any guys are injured or struggling. So, this is why I do say the floor is high, because you have a lot of depth, and you have a lot of guys that can eat up innings, and you have a lot of guys that know how to trust their defense. And again, like I've said before, I trust Tommy Hotovy, and I trust Tyler Zombro to do their thing. I really, really do. I have a lot of faith in those two, because we saw what they did with Brad Keller. Got Brad Keller in a minor league deal, and look, he just made a bag with the Phillies. So I do believe in the pitching. However, starting pitching lately with Shota, Managa, and Jamo, it's been real bad. It's been real bad. And another thing of concern has been the base running. And we recently had Craig Counsell go off on our guys about base running during practice. And you know what, man, I really like that from Craig Counsell. I want him to be harder, but, I do want him to be a little tougher on these guys. It's a good thing, I feel like Craig Counsell, he needs to blow up at some point. I feel like if he blows up, this team will get a lot more motivated. Because, I like Craig Counsell. I do think he's a smart guy. However, I feel like at times he can be a little bit like, just lifeless, like no energy, And yeah, so I do have faith in Craig Counsell that maybe this is, him going off could be the turning point of the team season. And we've seen it before. We've seen it before with Cubs managers. When a guy goes off, the team season turns around. You can point to 2007. I know for younger viewers, maybe that's not, you might not know what I'm talking about, but for a lot of Cubs fans, I feel like you guys might know. 2007, Cubs were like 10 games under 500, and Lou Piniella got ejected, and he was going off. He was kicking dirt at an umpire, just blew up in everyone's face, and the Cubs turned the season around and ended up making the playoffs. Got destroyed in the first round by the Diamondbacks. Not a very fun memory to have, but that was a very fun season. So. Sometimes maybe your manager going off can really, get the team going, So yeah, hopefully, this team can have some energy. Also, Alex Bregman, as I talked about before, leadership was the thing that this team lacked. Alex Bregman's going to bring that. But, he and PCA and Javier Assad, Seiya Suzuki, Matthew Boyd, they're off to the WBC. So wishing those guys the best of luck as, hopefully they all do well. But the thing that's most important is just hopefully they all stay healthy. Hopefully no stupid injury happens and then they miss the regular season or any part of the regular season, because I'd be so pissed off if that would have happened. So yeah, hopefully they're fine. But yeah, the base running has been not the best. And if you look at last week against the Giants, it wasn't even like any like minor leaguers or bench guys. It was our starters. In the first inning, it was Matt Shaw, Alex Bregman, and Seiya Suzuki. All three got on base, and all three ran themselves into a triple play. This was not bench players. These were not minor leaguers. These were major league starters. And my goodness, maybe Matt Shaw might not start the season. He might be a platoon guy. He might even be in the minors to get more at-bats. But at the end of the day, these are guys that are going to play for us a lot. And we ran ourselves into a triple play. And our base running just hasn't been good at all lately. So that's something we got to work on. And we have speedy guys. Nico Hoerner is a great base runner. I do think our base running we have fast guys, we have experienced guys, but for some reason we've been fucking around a little bit lately, and I don't like that. Talking about base running, I'm going to talk about PCA. PCA, he started off like 0 for 10 or something, spring training, but he got 2 hits against the White Sox on Sundays, so it's good to see that. Really been looking at his mechanics lately. Been looking a lot better. So hopefully, can take that momentum into the WBC, and hopefully, if he does good in the WBC, can take that momentum into the regular season, because we're going to need that. We are really going to need PCA to be another 30-30 guy, because if he can be a 30-30 guy with Gold Glove defense, this team can win a lot of games. This team can go far. So we need PCA to be the guy he was last year. If not, the pitching's just going to need to do their thing there. And it's hard to repeat the success, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Hopefully, hopefully he can do well. But also the base running, he can steal a lot of bases, but there are times where he'll overslide for and that sucks. So hopefully he can work on that, maybe a little bit more patience. But yeah, PCA, he's always going to be very fun to watch. I know he has a lot of haters, which is mainly Brewers, Cardinals, and White Sox fans, because those are you know how those fans are, especially White Sox fans for some reason. But yeah, PCA, he also had recent comments about Dodgers fans lately. He was talking about how Cubs fans give a fuck, and Dodgers fans, all they could do is go take pictures, whatever. Honestly, dude, I'm here for it, man. We need to have more of that fuck you attitude, especially after we got eliminated by our division rivals last year in the playoffs. I feel like this team didn't have a lot of that fuck you energy. I feel like this team didn't have a lot of the anger in them. And I feel like they need to unleash that so that they can go off. I feel like they need more motivation. And this team has so much talent. This team has a high floor. But the team could use a little bit more motivation. And honestly, that can raise their ceiling if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? So, hopefully that division series could wake us up and get us that division title. We really need to win this division this year if we want to go far. I don't know if I can. I just don't know if I can see this team doing good if they play for a wild card spot. I mean, if you make the playoffs, anything can happen. However, the team was winless on the road in the playoffs last year, and they were damn near undefeated at home. Wrigley Field in the playoffs is a really tough place to play in. So this team needs to win the division if they want that home field advantage. They need to. And when I mean win the division, man, maybe 3 seed, you face a 6 seed, but honestly, I'd rather get a bye in the first round, because that could also give you an advantage to, get home field advantage in the division series. You know what I mean? So hopefully that could happen. But yeah, there are some concerns, but also there are some positives. Alex Bregman hit a home run yesterday. On Sunday. Moises Ballesteros, he's been having some good velocity off of his hits lately. He made it to spring training late because there were some visa issues, which is just so stupid. But I'm just glad he made it here safely, and just hopefully just get to work. And I can't wait to see what the guy does. I really want him to be the DH of the future. He's going to be really exciting to watch. I really like the exit velocities. I really like the power that he has. I'm really excited to see what he can do. And honestly, this is going to impact Matt Shaw. Obviously, the Alex Bregman signing impact Matt Shaw because, he was the third baseman. Now you got a guy taking your spot, which, no offense, but, it's deservingly so because, Alex Bregman is one of the best third basemen in the entire league. But talking about Matt Shaw, this could mean something, Moises Ballesteros has a track record of not being good against lefties, and that could mean that you put Seiya Suzuki instead of putting him in right field on days where we face lefties. Put him at DH, put Matt Shaw in right field. I'm pretty sure he can field well there. He has good defense, and hopefully Matt Shaw he can do damage against lefties. As I'm saying, he could be a good platoon guy. This is why you don't have to trade him away, dude. He has a lot of value. Or if you want him to really be a star in this league, maybe send him down to the minors. I don't agree with that. However, I understand the point. You can send him down to the minors, get him as much at bats as you can. You know, get him more playing time so he can continue to improve, continue to get better, and that way he just comes up to the majors and he does his thing, you know. But I like the platoon bat idea. You know, he could be our version of Javier Baez. You know, or Javier Baez. He wasn't like he was solid. He wasn't amazing his first couple years in the league, but then like third, fourth year, freaking 30-30 season, all-star starter, MVP candidate. I'm not saying Matt Shaw is that, but I'm saying like, you know, if he works towards it, he can be that. He has so much upside to him. So, you know, I'm really excited to see what Matt Shaw's doing, man. He's been getting quite a few hits this spring training. I like the exit velocities. I've been seeing out of him recently. I'm really excited to see what Matt Shaw can do this year. He's not going to start every game. He might not even make... I'm pretty sure he'll make the team. Might not even make it. Maybe that's, like, something to consider, but I feel like he's going to make the team. And, you know, he'll be a good platoon guy. I'm really excited. You know, Chas McCormick, Dylan Carlson's actually been pretty decent lately, so maybe he can make the team, be a nice bench bat. We signed Michael Conforto recently. So, yeah, I mean, you know, one of the problems last year is we didn't have a good bench. You get a guy like Dylan Carlson, you get a guy like freaking, you know, Tyler Austin, and we'll see if Charles McCartney makes the team. And Michael Conforto, like, I mean, hey man, the bench could be solid, man. The bench could be really solid, and you know, obviously that could help us. I mean, it's not like really Justin Turner was really really anything for us last year anyway. So honestly, it wouldn't be too bad. As far as recapping, I'm not sure where. Oh yeah, Edward Cabrera. He made his debut on Friday, which. Speaking of, I want to talk about Marquee real quick. I really don't like that we're only getting 11 games. You got fans paying like $20 a month, and you can't show them all the spring training games. You can't even show them half of the spring training games. Spring training lasts like a month. You show them 11 games. You can't even show them half the games. Like, come on, Marquee, come on, Marquee. Let's be for real. Now, luckily, the WBC is starting, so you're gonna get a lot more viewership there. But man, I don't know, man. Marquee, man, you gotta fix your stuff, man. You gotta fix your stuff. But Edward Cabrera pitched on Friday. I think he had like 3 Ks, 2 innings, or 3 innings, 4 Ks, something like that. He pitched really good. Really like his change. His change is filthy. He can go from about 94 to 97. His 97 was his highest, you know, when it came to speed and the changeup. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Edward Cabrera can do. You know, Wrigley Field, very, very pitcher-friendly ballpark. So, you know, I'm excited. You know, he has a defense that he can rely on. You know, you got Dansby Swanson going up the middle. You know, Alex Bregman's gonna do his thing. Michael Busch, not a bad first baseman, man, and great offensively. Hopefully he can, you know, do better against lefties. But you know, when you hit 34 home runs, 260 average, 850 OPS, man, or 860 OPS. And hey, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, outfield, you have a good defense as well. You know, PCA is just always going to give you a Gold Glove. Seiya Suzuki, he will have his moments. He will have his moments of good, and he'll have his moments of bad. He'll make errors out there, so you got to be careful with that. And then Ian Happ, you know, he'll always be a Gold Glover. So Edward Cabrera is going to have a good defense in a very pitcher-friendly ballpark in Wrigley Field. The gaps are short, but pulling the ball, it takes a lot to pull the ball at Wrigley Field. So it's going to take a lot to pull the ball for Edward Cabrera if you're opposing hitters. And Edward Cabrera, he brings just great stuff, great velocity, which a lot of Cubs pitchers don't really have. So just don't walk a lot of guys, Edward Cabrera. If you don't walk a lot of guys, you don't get yourself into much trouble. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what he can do. But yeah, that's going to cap it off, guys. I have more episodes coming out soon. Hopefully I can bring some guests in, but make sure to follow all my socials and make sure to follow my main channel, Mal Cubby, where I do a lot of reactions. More content will be coming out on this YouTube channel, and I'm really excited for the season, really excited for the WBC. Maybe I'll talk some WBC, talk some, you know, Cubs players playing there, talk about the performances. We'll see what happens. But I just want to thank you guys for tuning into the podcast, and I hope you have a great one. Catch you later.